Imagine you are sitting alone in your room, entirely isolated from the outside world. You log into your bank account. You type in your secure 12-character password. You feel completely safe. After all, nobody is looking over your shoulder. There are no hidden cameras, and your network is fully encrypted. But what if the breach didn't happen through your keyboard? What if the breach happened directly inside your skull? At this very moment, you might be wearing a sleek modern consumer device, perhaps a high-end virtual reality headset, a meditation headband, or advanced noise-canceling headphones designed to maximize your productivity. Hidden within the comfortable fabric and sleek plastics of these devices are highly sensitive electroencephalogram or EEG sensors. As you type that password, your brain fired a specific involuntary electrical signal known as a P300 wave. The sensors picked it up. An algorithm analyzed it. And just like that, a third-party software deduced exactly what keys you were pressing, strictly by monitoring the electrical storms inside your mind. This isn't a pitch for a dystopian sci-fi movie. This is peer-reviewed science. And the most terrifying part isn't that the technology exists. The terrifying part is that when you quickly scrolled to the bottom of that app's terms of service and clicked, "I agree," you legally handed them the keys to your cognitive sovereignty. Welcome to the dawn of neural harvesting, where your mind is the ultimate open-source goldmine. To understand how we arrived at a point where corporations are legally siphoning our brainwaves, we have to look at the biological software bug of human complacency. Over the last 2 decades, society has been slowly conditioned to trade fundamental privacy for minor conveniences. First, we gave away our digital footprints, our search histories, and our clicks. Then, we surrendered our physical coordinates, allowing global positioning systems to track our every movement. Next came our biological identifiers. We willingly handed over our fingerprints and facial geometry just to unlock our phones a fraction of a second faster. But all of those data points were external. They were reflections of our actions, not the genesis of our thoughts. The brain is different. The brain is the control center, the absolute core of the human operating system. For a long time, the public perception of neurotechnology was strictly clinical. If you needed an EEG, you went to a hospital. A technician glued dozens of cold, wet electrodes to your scalp to monitor for epilepsy or brain trauma. Because this occurred in a medical setting, the data extracted from your brain was shielded by ironclad medical privacy laws like HIPAA in the United States. It was legally untouchable. But Silicon Valley saw a loophole. By miniaturizing these EEG sensors into consumer devices, dry electrodes hidden in everyday wearables, they successfully bypassed medical regulations. They rebranded neurotechnology as a lifestyle optimization tool. Companies like Emotive, Muse, Neurable, and major tech conglomerates began releasing devices intended to help you meditate better, focus harder at work, or control video games with your mind. Legally speaking, because these devices are sold as consumer electronics rather than medical equipment, the electrical activity they record from your brain is not classified as protected medical data. It is classified as standard consumer data. Legally, the intimate electrical firing of your neurons is treated with the exact same level of legal protection as your Netflix viewing history or your shoe size. But what exactly are these companies collecting? When we talk about brainwaves, we aren't talking about a flat, meaningless line on a screen. We are talking about raw, continuous, unfiltered neural signals. Your brain consists of roughly 86 billion neurons, communicating constantly through electrical impulses. when you feel a sudden spike of anxiety, when your mind wanders from a task, when you feel subconscious attraction or aversion to an image, your brain broadcasts specific electrical frequencies, alpha, beta, theta, delta, and gamma waves. These signals are continuous and completely involuntary. You cannot consent to the data your brain is producing because you cannot stop it from producing it. It is intensely revealing. Let's look at a concrete, terrifying example. Researchers at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, led by Nitesh Saxena, conducted a study on the security of consumer-grade EEG headsets. They discovered a phenomenon they dubbed brainjacking. When a human recognizes something familiar or anticipates an action, like preparing to hit a specific key on a keyboard, the brain emits a very distinct electrical signal called a P300 wave. It happens exactly 300 milliseconds after the stimulus. The researchers had users wear commercial EEG headsets while typing randomly and then typing a PIN. After just 200 characters of calibration data, the machine learning algorithm could decipher the user's brainwaves and guess their secret PIN codes and passwords with shocking accuracy. The algorithm wasn't tracking the movement of their fingers. It was tracking the electrical intent inside their brains. This proves that raw EEG data contains multitudes of hidden information. AI can now decode this raw data to infer emotional states, detect early signs of neurological decline, map your subconscious political biases, and reveal your deepest psychological triggers. When a commercial app collects your brainwaves to track your focus, they aren't just taking a snapshot. They are taking a continuous video feed of your subconscious mind. And the question becomes, what are they doing with it? We don't have to guess what corporations are doing with your neural data. We have the receipts. In April 2024, the Neurorights Foundation, an organization spearheaded by international human rights lawyer Jared Genser and renowned neurobiologist Raphael Yuste, released a landmark 100-page investigative report. They conducted a comprehensive audit of the privacy policies and user agreements of 30 major consumer neurotechnology companies. The findings were nothing short of dystopian. The audit revealed that consumer neurotechnology privacy policies are largely paper-thin illusions. Out of the 30 companies analyzed, a staggering 96.7% explicitly reserve the right to share your neural data with third parties. Let that sink in. Nearly every single company selling you a device to read your brain reserves the legal right to package that biological data and hand it off. Furthermore, the language in these terms of service is deliberately vague regarding the sale or brokerage of this data. They use terms like improving user experience or sharing with affiliated partners, which is corporate speak for monetizing your mind. Even worse, the report found that fewer than 20% of these companies even mentioned using encryption to protect the neural data they were storing. Your most intimate biological secrets are sitting on corporate servers, largely unencrypted, waiting for a data breach. They are building massive libraries of human cognitive patterns. They are mapping the human psyche not to cure disease, but to build predictive models of human behavior. The foundation of a new economic era is being laid down right beneath our noses. If you are starting to realize that the sci-fi dystopias we were warned about are actually being written into law right now, hit the subscribe button to join the Beyond Biology community. We are building a collective of pragmatic, informed individuals who refuse to be blindfolded in the era of transhumanism. Subscribe and let's keep going. The sheer scale of this cognitive gold rush has finally triggered alarms within the establishment. Governments are realizing that if they do not act immediately, cognitive liberty, the basic human right to mental privacy and self-determination, will be permanently extinguished. We are witnessing isolated, desperate attempts to patch this biological software bug. The Republic of Chile was the first to recognize the threat, amending its constitution to explicitly protect neurorights. But the battleground is now shifting to the United States. In April 2024, the state of Colorado passed a historic amendment to the Colorado Privacy Act. It became the first U.S. state to explicitly define neural data as highly sensitive biometric data, granting it the same legal protections as a fingerprint or a facial scan. Shortly after, the panic spread to the tech capital of the world. Recognizing the unique risks posed by consumer BCI devices, California lawmakers pushed forward SB 1223. In September 2024, Governor Gavin Newsom officially signed it into law, amending the California Consumer Privacy Act. The law specifically defines neural data as information that is generated by measuring the activity of a consumer's central or peripheral nervous system. This landmark legislation finally grants consumers the right to request, delete, and restrict the sharing of their brain-generated data. But while Colorado and California are building lifeboats, the rest of the world is still drowning in unregulated waters. These laws are localized patches in a global, highly porous network. If you live outside of these specific jurisdictions, your brainwaves are still considered open season for data brokers. Why are the biggest companies on Earth fighting so hard to keep this data unregulated? Because we are entering the era of neurocapitalism. Big tech conglomerates are not investing billions into brain-computer interfaces just to make video games more immersive. Apple has filed multiple patents for future versions of AirPods that feature built-in biosensors to map brain activity. Meta has heavily invested in EMG wristbands capable of decoding the neural signals traveling from your brain to your hands. The ultimate goal of algorithmic marketing has always been prediction. Up until now, algorithms could only predict your behavior based on your past actions. What you clicked, what you watched, what you bought. But neural data allows an algorithm to predict your actions before you even make them. By monitoring your real-time EEG data, an AI can detect the exact microsecond your brain registers a subconscious spike of dopamine when looking at a specific product, an ideology, or a political candidate. They can map your psychological vulnerabilities. If a corporation knows exactly what visual or auditory stimuli trigger a stress response or a pleasure response in your specific brain, they can tailor reality to manipulate you with flawless precision. When your neural data is harvested, packaged, and sold to the highest bidder, free will ceases to be a fundamental human trait. It becomes a variable that can be calculated, optimized, and controlled by a machine learning model. You are no longer a consumer. Your biological reactions become the product. We are standing on the precipice of humanity 2.0. We are rapidly approaching the singularity, the point where the distinction between biological human and integrated machine becomes impossible to define. We are the very last generation of human beings who can definitively say that our thoughts belong entirely and exclusively to us. The technology to bridge the gap between mind and machine is not a future concept. It is sitting on retail shelves today. And while the legal framework to protect your mind is slowly awakening, it is struggling to outpace the aggressive expansion of neurocapitalism. We must ask ourselves the most profound existential question of our time. In a future where our brainwaves are the ultimate currency, who exactly owns the architecture of your mind? What are your thoughts on this? Do you believe our legal systems can keep up with this technology? Or is cognitive liberty already lost? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to understand how billionaires are trying to hack their genetic code to outlive the rest of us, click the video on your screen right now. Stay pragmatic.